Chapter 5. Go to the hospital with Grandma. After they had left, I thought I should go back into the house. So I waited under the flower near the door for someone to open the door for me to slip in. After a while, the doctor came. While Mrs. Sprins opened the door for him, I slipped in. I ran into the room and hid under Grandma's bed. Grandma was awake now, and had just had the food cooked by Mrs. Sprins. I listened to the doctor giving Grandma a checkup. He said that he would send Grandma to the hospital when Grandma's situation was stable. Soon the doctor left. I climbed up back to the top of the cabinet where there was food and water for me. At night, the nurse and Mrs. Sprins went to other rooms to sleep. I went to the edge of the top and called for Grandma in a low voice. She saw me and waved for me to get off the cabinet and come down to her. Touching my head, Grandma's eyes were full of tears. "Is it boring to stay up there, my sweetheart?" she said. "No, Grandma. I went out to play today." Then I told her what had happened in the yard. At the beginning, she worried a little, then she smiled happily. Grandma said, "You should not hide any longer. Tomorrow I will tell them you are my pet mouse, but you have to keep silent around them." I thought that was a good idea, for it was not comfortable to keep hiding. I slept under Grandma's quilt for a night. Early the next morning, I got up and went back to the top of the cabinet. Mrs. Sprins cooked and served breakfast for Grandma. Grandma deliberately asked her, "Did you see my pet mouse?" Mrs. Sprins was surprised. "Your pet mouse?" "No, I didn't." No wonder there are strange things in the house, the little ladders, devices on the doors. I wondered why the door had opened itself. Grandma said, "That is an advanced pet I brought back from England. He is very human-like." Then she called me, "Honey, come over here for breakfast." I heard Grandma calling me and looked from the edge of the cabinet top. I hissed several mouse hisses and got off onto Grandma's bed. Grandma told me to say hello to Mrs. Sprins. I hissed to her and then bowed 2 times to her. Mrs. Sprins clapped her hands and said, "He is so cute. I never saw such a cute pet." Then the nurse came in and I did the same to her. She was happy, too. Grandma said to her, "Thank you very much, Dot. If I go to the hospital, I must not leave my pet at home. He is very obedient, he will not run anywhere. No one can see him, he will not make any trouble. If I could not take him, I would never go to the hospital." The nurse promised Grandma to let me go. In this way, when Grandma took an ambulance to the hospital, I stayed in her handbag.